Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Gladrags. If I could read from here. Gladrags and Bags, beating bowel cancer with Suzanne Dore.
Hello.
Suzanne, for full disclosure, she's my neighbour. She lives approximately that way. And we've known you for quite a few years. It's scary how long...
I think it's 16.
Is it really that long? Wow. So, yes, we've known Suzanne for 16 years, but there is an awful lot about her that we don't know. And especially what she has been through regarding the title of this stream. So, Suzanne, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Suzanne. I live next door. In 2009, my then 13-year-old son was diagnosed with nasopharyngeal carcinoma, which is a ridiculously rare cancer in the nasopharynx. When he was in treatment, he was the only child in treatment in the country for it. There'd been ones before and after, but at that time he was the only one. We had a bit of a tough time getting him through that. He had chemotherapy and radiotherapy and immunotherapy. And prior to that, I'd always had bowel issues, which was put down to IBS and piles. And while Sam was in hospital, the symptoms I was suffering got worse. So I went to a doctor and said, look, this is ridiculous. Shall I just get something done with my piles? So I went to a bowel surgeon to just have a look at my piles. And it was at that appointment, I'd taken my children with me because we were going out for dinner afterwards. It was the day after Sam had been told that his radiotherapy had worked and it was doing a really good job. So we were really happy, you know, we were a new, fresh start. And the surgeon had a quick look with the sigmoidoscopy and found a large tumour. And from there, it spiralled very quickly. And I was diagnosed with stage 3 colorectal cancer, which needed chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and an AP resection, which is when your bowel, part of your bowel is removed, and then you use a colostomy bag, to go to the toilet. We regrouped, we recovered, and for years I kept thinking I should really do something with the information I have, because prior to having the bag, I was appalled at the thought of having a colostomy, but actually having the colostomy as a lived experience, it's been fantastic. So my thought process was I need to share that because I am enjoying life more than I ever did before I was diagnosed. And I started Gladrags and Bags, my website, about 6 years ago, and it's had over 100,000 reads, and it's been pretty good to meet new people that are living the same experience and getting through.
Right, so if that hasn't taken you all aback and knocked you off your feet, we are going to go back kind of to the beginning, aren't we, and
Right.
talk our way through. So, how was your health sort of what was the first point that you started noticing that things with your health didn't seem quite right and you needed to start going to see doctors?
I was 18 actually when I first went to the doctor with bowel symptoms, and as it turns out back then it would have been a polyp, which had it been found then would have just been removed like polyps are. But unfortunately it didn't get picked up then. I was given fibre gel and pile cream, which I can assure you are not the cures for cancer.
No.
And it just went from there really. So from 18 to 36 when I was finally diagnosed, the tumour they think had been there between 5 and 7 years, and I was fully symptomatic, excruciating pain, lots of bleeding, because the blood was fresh blood, so you're told not to worry about that, but that does depend where the tumour is, because the closer to the outside it is, the fresher the blood's going to be. So, yeah.
God, so why in the early stages do you think it wasn't picked up?
Doctors are guided by statistics, and the statistics said she doesn't need to be looked at, she's too young for cancer. Although it does intrigue me a little bit, because even though they thought it wasn't cancer, I had bowel symptoms, so it should have been investigated to find out what it was. Right, it could have been Crohn's or colitis or any of the IBDs. It could have been anything, but no, it was never investigated, and I didn't think to push for that. They told me what it was, so I believed them.
Yeah, and this is one of the things we talked about before, wasn't it? That they say if you suffer with symptoms for 3 weeks or more, that you should go and see your GP. Then you're suffering sort of year upon year upon year. And at what point do you go, okay, I think this might be a little bit more than what you're kind of fobbing me off with?
And it was only really Sam being diagnosed with cancer and me being in the hospital ward, because the bowel symptoms I was having were very awkward in a public setting. You know, I needed to use the toilet a lot, so it kind of increased my awareness. I really do need to get this sorted out. It never occurred to me that it would be cancer, never, because it had never been mentioned. It had never been voiced in any way, shape or form.
That's something that we've had when we've done interviews on here before, when we've interviewed people about endometriosis and fibromyalgia and all these kind of things, is that the option isn't even placed on the table.
No.
So for people who don't know too much about it, it's not something that they feel they should even pursue or consider, and that can be, so luckily for you it wasn't, but it can be a death sentence.
Oh, it literally can. I mean, I know people that were misdiagnosed for a lot less time than me that haven't made it because of the type of cancer they had. I was lucky. I got an old lady cancer in a younger lady's body, so I'm very grateful for that. And
feel free to drink. Have a bit. I thought you were going to touch wood.
Touch wood. Yeah.
Okay.
I just got really lucky, because had I had the cancers that other people that might, at the age I was diagnosed, get, then I wouldn't have been lucky.
Mm. So when it came to the day of your diagnosis, I mean, obviously that's a hell of a traumatic thing to go through. And what was the response? Obviously, apart from your whole world just falling away from you.
So 6 months prior, Sam had been diagnosed at 13, and he had just got through it. He just didn't whinge, he didn't whine. They told him what the treatment would be. He said, okay, bring it on. And that's how he did it. We were going out for a meal. We were going to Chop Block back in the day. So we were going out for a meal, and I was just popping into the hospital. Just the boys were with us, and then they had to go and get the boys, and I had to explain we've got to do this shit again. God. And I just rung my boss at the school, because I used to do the breakfast club up there, and said, I'll come back because Sam's going to start immunotherapy and he'll be home more from the hospital because his treatment was in UCLH. So I'll be able to start back. And then I had to ring him back the next day and go, actually, I won't be back because I'm going to have to do this now.
So, and how did your treatment start? What was the process?
There's a lot of investigations of what cancer you've got. So there was a colonoscopy just to check where the cancer was, and then you have your scans to find out if it's spread. Mine luckily was just local lymph nodes, so that was a good thing. And then straight into treatment, which was chemotherapy and radiotherapy, and then the AP resection after that. So the chemotherapy was and radiotherapy to shrink it right down, see if it would go back, which it did do really well actually. But you still have to have the operation because the risk of it coming back is far greater. So you still have to have, which is drastic surgery and mind-boggling surgery when you're told about it, because we don't hear any positive stories about having a colostomy.
No. So in that sense, so what were your first, like when they told you that this is going to be?
I thought I would never, ever leave my house again.
That is a... thank you, Dave. Dave Hillier has liked the stream, so thank you, Dave.
I thought I would never leave the house again. I came home, I said to Chris, right, this is what I need to do to survive this, not physically. I mean, I was hoping I'd physically survive the cancer. Yeah. But I said to him, I won't be going out ever again. I won't see my friends again. I'll speak to them on the phone. I'll text them and I'll email. But I won't ever leave this house again once I've got that back. That'd be disgusting. I would smell. I was so traumatised. I thought it was the most disgusting thing I'd ever heard. It was just appalling. and the lived experience has been slightly different. I've been everywhere in the world I've ever wanted to go. 6 months after my surgery, I was laying on a beach in Cuba.
Yeah.
I haven't really ever looked back, because life is just so good now. Having a colostomy is just the best thing. I recommend it to people anyway, whether they need one or not, because it's just so convenient. It's just been life-changing, because prior to that I hadn't flown for 8 years because I was fearful of accidents.
Yeah.
No way would I get on a plane if I thought I might have an accident on there, and stuck on a plane for that duration.
Yeah.
So we didn't go anywhere, but of course, have bag, will travel. Been everywhere in the world I've ever wanted to be.
I remember, it's not the same kind of thing, but I remember when my dad, after his stroke, and he had to have a leg bag for urine, so he had to have a sheath on and everything. And the idea that I would see him sitting there and like, "What are you doing, Dad?" And he'd be like, "Having a wee."
Exactly. Well, my bladder broke during the operation, and I had to have a leg bag, and that's probably the only time I've ever slept through the night, because I didn't have to get up for a wee. So that was great, but luckily my bladder did come back to life, so I am very grateful for that.
So do you think the preconceived notions of what it would be like to have a colostomy bag, is it because there's still, I suppose, that little bit of a taboo when it comes to toilet habits,
well,
isn't there?
We're English, so there's a taboo about poo. And also, we're English and we find poo very funny. So we've got two extremes going on.
That's a really good point.
So if we thought poo was funny and farts are funny, and we're okay and cool about poo and farts, brilliant. But we're not. We've got two extremes. We're like 5-year-old children laughing at poo and farts, but also don't talk about poo and farts. It's just the weirdest place to be, really.
Yeah, the idea of having an accident or something in public,
it's horrifying. And weirdly, I find if my bag leaks, I find people are slightly more sympathetic than when you shit yourself, quite honestly. I mean, if I sat next to you and shit myself, you'd be like, "What?" If I said to you, "Oh, I'm so sorry, my bag's just leaked,"
yeah, I suppose
you'd have a different
yeah.
reaction to that, and that's just humans. I'm afraid that's just how we deal with things.
So once you had the bag, and as you said, your first thoughts were, "I'm never leaving the house again. This is the end of my life."
Yep.
When did you start to see that change?
It wasn't a start to see change. I went down for the operation crying,
right,
knowing my life was never going to be the same again. I was a bit poorly in the operation. I hemorrhaged and I lost 8 or 9 pints of blood. Not that I know about that, because I was unconscious.
How many can the body? Is it 13?
I don't know. I'm not really sure. I know I was poorly.
I think we can say that's a lot.
It's a lot of
That's
blood.
a lot of blood.
I didn't know about that until recently, actually, because Chris has been donating blood, and he's like, "Oh, I've done it now. I've done yours for you, and yours for and the stuff for Sam, because he had blood when he had cancer." And I was like, "How much did I lose?" And he told me. But luckily, I can't have PTSD about something I was unconscious for, that's very handy. So after I came out of recovery and I was back on the ward, and they put a clear bag on you to start with, and I'd already had a very weird feeling of feeling like warm and someone holding me, which was a very strange feeling.
Right.
But I picked up the covers and I looked down and saw this bright red blob, which was now my bowel on the outside of my body, sewn on. And I had literally a rush of emotion, like it was like a newborn child, and I just felt calm and peaceful and just at ease, and I just looked down and went, "Oh, is that it?" And I've never looked back. Now my surgeon...
Really funny you should say that, actually. I'll come to that in a second.
My surgeon said to Chris, "She'll probably crash, she will have a crash. It's never happened. I haven't crashed because I really like it. It's who I am now, but also it's not the big deal I thought it was."
A friend of mine, she's suffered with bowel issues and endometriosis and all sorts for a long time. Hi, Alex, if you're out there. And she had to go in and have an operation done, and she had to have a temporary bag.
Right.
And she said the same kind of thing. Like, I think because she'd been in pain and things for so long, and once she had the bag, it almost, she sort of looked on it like it was her little pet.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, it's just, I don't even think about it. The only reason I do think about it is because I write a blog about dressing well, hopefully. And,
I look fabulous, darling.
and living a good life, because that's what I'm doing. I'm literally living a good life. If you'd seen me the 8 years prior to actually being diagnosed with what I had, I didn't have a good life. There was one restaurant I'd go to because I felt safe using their toilet.
Yep.
And the world just shut down for me. I didn't fly anywhere. I didn't go anywhere. Couldn't risk days out. I mean, I remember going to Legoland with the boys, and the whole time, all I kept thinking was, oh my God, my guts. What am I going to do? And I just don't have that anymore. I'm free. And actually it is easier, because when I do go on holiday with my family, who are still plumbed the old-fashioned way, I'm up, I'm ready to go and see the cities. And they've had 3 cups of coffee with breakfast, and they're back to the room and got to sort themselves out again. So I'm like, come on, people, you're such Neanderthals.
Me and the bag, we're ready to go.
Yeah,
What's
we
your
are
excuse?
good to go.
So after that, and this basically new dawn, this new awakening, once you got out there into the real world, what was the sort of what was the reaction to be? Because I know that the problem is, unfortunately, we live in a bit of a sad world that still needs to catch up on a few things and a few ideas. And I read in some of your blogs, and you've talked about it before, that people's attitudes can be just really hurtful and just really damaging. But how was your response to that when you got negative?
I've been really lucky. I've only ever had 2 trolls, which I think is a good number. Bearing in mind, I've got 100,000 people have read it.
In this day and age of the internet, that's incredible.
I think so. And I was in the Daily Mail a couple of times, and I even had some nice comments. I was a bit scared to read the comments in the Daily Mail.
Yeah.
But actually, no, they were really quite nice. Apart from one wasn't quite getting the gist of what I was doing, because when I'm dressing, I try and make sure my bag doesn't show through. Same as I don't want my knicker line to show through. I like a smooth line. But I will wear a bikini on the beach. I'm not disguising my bag while I'm dressed because I'm ashamed of it. I just want a straighter line of an outfit. So
that's what people do, bag or no bag.
But and their comment was, well, if she doesn't want to show her bag off, why is she wearing a bikini? And I thought, no, I'm not ashamed of my bag. I'm happy with my bag. I'm happy with my body. So only 2 trolls, and one of them was a collector of all things poo. Which I
You've got to have a hobby.
Well, you have, and I declined the offer to provide it for them. So, but other than that, no. With normal people, I don't really have any negativity. I was told before I had the surgery, well, why would you need to tell anyone? Keep it to yourself, don't tell anyone. But that's just not me, because that would be like half a life. That wouldn't be...
Yeah, you'd feel like you're hiding.
I'm hiding, and I've no reason to hide. In fact, I've got every reason to shout from the rooftops, this is actually really cool.
Yeah. And I suppose that's what led on to your...
Yeah.
Was that what inspired your blog?
Well, it was, because for years I had trial and error with things, and I didn't know anyone else with a colostomy, because I don't belong to any forums or groups or anything. Never felt any need to, although they're good for support for people that do need them. But I just thought, God, I've got so many ideas of things that I've done that work for me. I should really share them. And just a few 6 Christmases ago, I just thought, I'm going to do it, and I did, and it's been absolutely fantastic, actually.
Yeah, I was saying just before the stream, so I knew you had a blog, and I sort of, I think I literally just typed into Google. It was Suzanne bowel cancer blog colostomy or something like that, and there was just a ream.
You don't even need to go that far. If you just write Suzanne Dore, I come up.
Yeah, and that's when I re-looked, sort of looked again, just type your name in, and it was featured in so many news articles on so many social media pages. Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's a couple of journalists got in touch with me, and then another journalist of local papers got in touch. And then a journalist called Chelsea contacted me and said, I'd like to do a story for a magazine, and she did, and it was picked up by a couple of the bigger newspapers. But the main thing is, it just gets more and more people aware of what a colostomy is, or I have a colostomy. Most people I know now, because now I've done my blog, I know more people with stomas.
Yeah.
Most people have an ileostomy, but still the main word for it is colostomy, and I don't know
So what's
why.
the difference?
So an ileostomy comes from your ileum, your small intestine,
Okay.
and a colostomy comes from your colon, your large intestine.
Yeah.
I didn't even know your intestines were your bowels. I thought there was something completely different. So I had a lot to learn when I got diagnosed, because it was just innards and...
So is there a different... I mean, do you know much about... Is it ileostomies?
Yeah, ileostomies will be a more liquid output because the poo needs to go through your large bowel to take the water out.
Yeah.
So when you've got an ileostomy, the output will be more liquid. Mine's more solid because I've got a colostomy, and it's a low-down colostomy, so pretty much the same as everyone else.
Is there a difference in the kind of absorptions of nutrients and things like that between the two?
Yes. Some ileostomy people will need extra vitamins and lack salt.
That's what I think. I think I remember somebody who really struggled with their food absorption and keeping weight on and anything.
Most likely an ileostomy.
Yeah. So your blog gets picked up.
Yep.
Worldwide phenomenon that you are, and so it puts you in touch with all these different people, and you start reaching out to other people and everything. So the kind of advice and tips that you've gathered from going on, if you could have, here we go, Suzanne's top 5 colostomy tips, what would be we'll save the best one for number 1. Okay, so the absolute epitome of...
Well, for me, and this is just personal, I say that this is what I do. I never say you should do this, because everyone's got to find their own way. It's all trial and error. But the easiest thing I found was, if I was wearing thick black tights, I cut a hole in them to poke the bag through, so it doesn't get compressed it doesn't get pressure on it from the tights as well as everything else you're wearing. So but a lot of people said, well, I don't need to do that, and that's great. Yeah. You do you, babes.
No, but believe me, I'm sure anybody out there who suffers with any of the life hacks can be life changing. So.
And someone on Twitter the other day said, I'm having my colostomy surgery next week. What tips have you got? And I thought, oh my God, I remember this, because I bought lovely pyjamas to go in hospital with. But unfortunately, they fill you with air when you're having bowel surgery. And I couldn't get any pyjamas around me, so Chris had to go and get me some
elastic waistbands.
Well, just nighties and things like that. And also peppermint oil. Just take peppermint oil by the gallon, because you're pumped full of air, so you need to get rid of that, and the pain of that is excruciating.
My only experience that I had a colonoscopy, and which was
same thing,
incredibly interesting, and especially when you watch it all on the camera, it's really cool. But the amount of gas that they pump up there. But I find one good long fart clears that right out.
Well, when you've been in surgery for 6.5 hours, fully pumped up, it's a bit difficult to get rid of that. So especially as your bowel isn't working properly when you first have your surgery, so you have to try and dissipate it somehow. So
that is the thing that I suppose that people don't realise. But if you think about how much gas a human being passes on a daily basis,
especially me,
but if all of us, it's a farty neighbourhood. But how does that work with the bag?
Oh, so I still do.
Yeah, and does it just...
It just inflates the bag a bit, and then there's a filter that just... So I never smell if I pass wind, because obviously it goes straight into the bag, and I cannot say that for the rest of my family.
Well, aren't you special?
I am. I'm good to be around.
You are. I'm just going to put the chat up on the main screen so we can see there's something I've got to do, so we can actually see what people have said. So TL said, I really... oh, hang on. So we've... do you know Leighton Elliott? Is that someone you know?
I don't know.
No, me neither. What have we got here?
Oh! No, I'm good.
Oh, right, okay. Is that an in-joke or something?
No.
No? I have no idea. TL says, I really learnt to enjoy things more. What bothers me is that people are too sympathetic with me. Do you experience that, Suzanne? If so, how do you deal with it?
I don't think I've ever had... I don't think anyone's ever been too sympathetic.
No.
I don't really get any... I don't get pitying looks. God, I'd hate that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, no one...
There's nothing that you want...
When you first get diagnosed with cancer, there is a lot of pitying looks. But when I was going through treatment, if I looked rough, and I did, I just put more makeup on and just got back out. I was like, no one's going to do the...
Yeah. I suppose that's good because there's nothing worse than people being like, "Oh, are you?"
But I do it to people. I mean, I've been there. I've had a child with cancer. I've had cancer. My dad had cancer. And even now, if someone says they've been diagnosed with cancer, I do the head tilt. It's just human nature. Oh, you poor thing.
Yeah, but I suppose it's, if people do it to an extreme, then it just becomes a bit wearing. But I think it's that instant response we have, isn't it? It's empathy.
It is.
And without that, if someone says, "Oh, I've just been diagnosed with cancer,"
I'm not
and you're
sure.
like,
yeah, right.
"Yeah, I've got the dinner in the oven, so I'll see you later." There's a bit of a problem. Carrie says, "I'm really hoping Kat tunes in as she has bowel cancer." Yeah, I was telling Suzanne about this. That has metastasised in several areas of her body. This is tilting, really annoying me. She is terminal and she's been trying to raise the funds to pay for chemo herself. She also has a bag. Yeah, we were talking about this before, the fact that Kat's treatment, I mean, I presume, did you get everything on the NHS?
No, luckily we had Bupa. So we had Bupa for Sam when he was diagnosed, and we found out when he was diagnosed with cancer there is no paediatric oncology in this country. So as soon as he was diagnosed, he was put into the NHS because there isn't a private service.
Right.
So we didn't know that. So that's interesting to know when you're paying your private fees for health insurance. Some of it doesn't even exist. And mine was all Bupa, but paid for by Bupa. But I went to Broomfield to have the operation because you can't have bowel surgery in private hospitals. They just don't have the facilities because it's pretty tricky surgery. So you need ICU afterwards and things like that.
I'll give Broomfield their due. In our experience, their aftercare was never particularly great, but their actual operations were great.
Oh, I mean, my surgeon is amazing.
Yeah.
Just incredible. No, you can't knock the NHS. It's just incredible.
No.
So if I didn't have Bupa, I'd have been in the NHS anyway. So
yeah, and we know from TL, who just commented, he's from America, and he's currently going a triple heart bypass. And we've heard about his medical bills and everything.
God, I can't imagine.
No, it's you're talking, for some people, it's like remortgaging house kind of.
Well, with Sam's cancer diagnosis 6 months before mine, we'd have been bankrupt.
Yeah.
If we'd been in any other country.
Yeah. So support your NHS, people.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Before they sell it off.
Yeah, that's a whole new podcast that we don't want to go into. She's having Avastan. They won't treat her as she's terminal, so they aren't bothered. Yeah, that's what we're saying. It's because they consider her too far gone.
Which is very sad because Avastan does work.
Yeah, and it is working for her. That's it's a real shame. But so other tips. We were tipping.
Right, so I cut a hole in my tights. Wear loose nighties to hospital. That's pretty much for the ladies because I'm a bit sexist, but I'm sure boys aren't going to wear a nightie.
I don't know, I've got caftans.
There you go, same thing. Peppermint oil, but that's for everyone with a bit of bowel pain. Peppermint oil does wonders. I also didn't ever think at 36 I'd be wearing petticoats like a 90-year-old lady, but like I said, if I want a smooth line on a dress, that's how you achieve it, because you just line in your dress. So petticoats. And on the beach, I just wear a bikini. So just be proud of your body and manage to get you through the most horrific thing you're ever going to go through.
Do you get many looks when you're...
Yeah, you do, but I would do the same, so I can't complain. And mostly it's just inquisitive, not rude. But Chris and I were on a beach in Spain once, and I went down to the sea, and I came back and I said, that lady's filming me. And Chris said, oh, don't be daft, you're paranoid, don't be ridiculous. And he came down with me and she was filming me. I didn't say anything to her, but I took it as a positive. I thought maybe she knows someone with a colostomy that's not living a full life and she wants to show them you can. Other than that, it's just weird.
Yeah, I mean, there's a thing with the human brain that as we observe the world, we are constantly categorising and filing things away. And as soon as we see something that's outside the norm, we naturally double take.
Of course you do.
Because
I do.
Yeah, we've got these basically these folders that we're trying to put stuff in. We go, hang on, this we haven't got a folder for this. Where does this go?
Yeah, and I understand that. So no, I've never had any gulping or any comments, anything. I've just been either lucky or I don't care. Maybe there have been comments, but I've not noticed.
I think this comes down to, as you said, that you don't care. If you own it, that's a huge part. If you carry yourself with confidence.
100%. when I was young and skinny and starving myself, I had no confidence. And now I'm older and bigger and have a colostomy, I've got all the confidence in the world. I will walk along the beach with a bag on show, because what's it got to do with anyone else?
Yeah.
I want a suntan.
Do you think, though, this is obviously a very difficult thing to not ask, but whether you can give an answer to, but do you think your attitude of life would have changed to what it is now if it hadn't been cancer?
No. Sam having cancer just made us live life in the minute, that minute, because that's all you've got, because we just didn't know how. He had advanced stage cancer as well. It was inoperable, so it was only going to be down to chemotherapy and radiotherapy and immunotherapy. A switch flicks, and you live in that second, that minute. Don't even think about the day, you're just thinking of that moment. And then when I got diagnosed with cancer, just how long's anyone got? So just live it. I'm not going to sit round saying, I'm not going to eat that cream cake, because
You should never say that.
well, I don't.
Good.
And I just live every second as if it's literally your last, like cliched as it is. That's just what we do.
I think if a lot of more people live that way, then I think this is just spam or something, because it doesn't make any sense to me either.
Okay.
We no speak of the lingo, I'm afraid. Grim Smith, VUN, for your information. Have no idea. But so just lost train of thought. It's all right. I'll get it back. Oh, that's what I was going to ask. So obviously, lifestyle changes. You're now living your life to your full.
Mm-hmm.
With regards to the family, when you were going through this, obviously it's incredibly devastating for a family. You never know what's going to happen.
No.
But has it? Obviously, your attitude has changed to life. So has the rest of the family's attitudes changed?
It's very, very difficult, because it's easier to be the person that's ill than it is to watch, because I've experienced both.
Yeah.
And I know it was easier for me to have cancer than to watch my child have cancer, because there's nothing more
As a
painful.
parent, I think there's
Just
nothing you
awful.
can compare it to.
So my route through has been easier. My mental health hasn't ever really dipped, apart from the fact I had low iron the other day, so I'm on iron tablets, and that took a bit of a tumble then. I was a bit miserable then, but I haven't had any mental health crisis. I've never come out of the, oh my God, I'm so happy to be alive. Well, I can't say the same for my family, because they did have to watch. So if I pass away, my pain's over. But if I pass away, their pain begins. So it's just a very different feeling for them. It's tough for them. It's hard.
Well, I mean, the fact that you've got through it, and obviously you're still here, is sort of the most they could ever possibly ask for, isn't it?
Yep.
Which is amazing. So I want to talk about your blog. So if you want to advertise it, tell people about it, where they can find it.
It's gladragsandbags.org. I don't make any money. In fact, it costs me to host it. People have always
Sounds
said,
like this.
Yeah. It's a passion project.
Yeah.
It's not something I make. I don't make money on it. I have to pay to host the website, and I do it because I felt really alone when I was diagnosed. And that sounds stupid, because I've just said I didn't go to any support groups, but it wasn't that I wanted other people's support. But if I'd seen someone wearing a bikini with a colostomy bag, I would have had a very different feeling about what was ahead. So that's why I do it. I just want people to know you can look nice if you choose to. If you don't want to, then if I wanted to wear tracksuit and baggy t-shirt, I would. I don't do anything I don't want to do. That's another good thing that comes out of having cancer.
Which is kind of sort of one of those things that you'd think would be kind of common sense for human beings, but the amount of people that are driven by this, that, and the other, and to fit in or follow various trends. So your blog features obviously style tips.
Yeah.
Is it sort of a general documentation of your life?
It's just basically a diary of me, which is a bit boring, but that's the whole point, isn't it? My life isn't some glamorous movie star thing. It's just a normal life.
Well, you say that. You do some pretty cool stuff.
Some, yeah.
Yeah, you do. You go to cool places and you see some very nice stuff.
Well, yeah, but that's again because when are you going to get a chance if you don't say yes, when are you going to get a chance? But it basically is just my boring life that everyone else can have too, because if you just get your bag on and get going, and we're all contained and fearful of what people might think. Well, most of the people that you're worried about what they think, you don't know.
Or most people are too busy getting on with their own
And
lives
they've
to
got their
actually
own
pay you any
problems
attention.
too. Yeah, exactly that. No one. I mean, yes, some people will glance if I'm wearing my bikini on the beach, but no one really cares, do they? I mean, it's the least interesting thing that's going to happen to them that day, I hope.
Yeah, people glance at all sorts of things and they'll spot various random things. Yeah. Also, you're on Instagram, aren't you?
I am.
Any other avenues? So we've got Instagram, we have your blog.
Twitter, I got one tweet that I did with a bikini on, which got 1,037 likes, which I think is quite good.
I think that's pretty good going.
They're just all perverts.
It's numbers. Take it.
One lady said, "Are you in your underwear?" And I thought, well, I'm in my beach underwear.
Is there a difference between underwear
There's not
and...
really, is
no,
there?
it's all
Just-
skimpy clothing.
Yeah. But other people have contacted me and said, "Oh my God, I would never have thought to wear a bikini." Even people without a bag, you get to a certain age, you get to a certain weight, you get to a certain... I mean, I'm a grandma, so should a grandma of 48 be wearing a bikini on the beach? Yes.
If she wants to,
If she
yes.
wants to, yes. Yeah, so we shouldn't be living our life based on the rules that were put out that we didn't agree to.
Trust me, from a man who went to a nudist beach a couple of years ago, there are all sorts of body shapes and sizes and bits and bobs.
The thing is, I can never be naked. I've got a bag on. You're never naked with a bag on.
Ah, I see. Sorry, I get what you mean. One thing actually I just wanted to touch on when you were talking about like support groups, and we know there are support groups.
Oh, there's great ones, yeah.
But something I noticed, especially with the... this is why I think kind of what you're doing probably has a lot more positivity than some of the kind of support groups and things that I've seen, because even though they have their place, I know with the endometriosis streams we did like about 9 episodes.
Okay.
And we found that people who did use the groups, you would find there was a lot of wallowing, and people who there seemed to be a lot of people saying, "I'm having a bad day, I'm having a bad," and there was a lot of sorry to hear that, hun, that kind of thing. But there wasn't that much advice for people to try and help them and bring them. There wasn't any positivity to drive them towards something more. Like with what you're doing, you're showing that there is a life after this.
There is a life. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I've never wallowed. It would waste my time, and I just want to get out and enjoy myself. So, but I have heard from some people that on some of these support groups that people try and out-ill each other. Yeah. And that's just not something I would go down the route of, because obviously there's always going to be someone worse off. There always will be.
Yeah.
But I'm very lucky where I am at the moment. I'm very lucky I survived cancer. I'm very lucky I get to go and do nice things. And I'm very lucky that my brain reset and allows me to do that.
Mm.
So.
Okay. Is there anything... Obviously, as you say, you take the bull by the horns. You live day by day. Is there anything that is on your to-do list that is the holy grail of what you want to do still?
No, I don't think there is, because if there is something, I say to Chris, "Can we do it?" And we do it. So I'm going to the Blue Lagoon in a few weeks' time.
Oh, in Wales?
No, in Iceland.
That's a bit more impressive. The Blue Lagoons in Wales is lovely.
Oh, I'm going to go there too.
But probably not quite on par with
So
Iceland.
I'm going to go in my bikini to the Blue Lagoon in Iceland, just outside Reykjavik. And I don't know anything about it really, apart from I saw it on a telly programme and thought I want to do that. So
is it warm or cold?
I don't know. I think it's warm. It's
Oh,
thermal spas. Yeah, I think it's warm.
Sounds divine.
It's probably a bit sulphury, but you know.
I'm sure for the nice warm tingly feeling, just block out the smell. Right. If there's anyone TL said, actually, yeah, support groups never seem to work for me, too much whining.
No.
Yeah, it's a shame. It is a shame.
I mean, there are some really good ones, so just keep trying until you find a really good one.
Yeah, just the support is out there, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think people just need to do a bit of research, look in various places. But if they do, try and find people, anyone like yourself or anybody who is putting out, we can all spend our days feeling terrible, but we need people who can put out good information.
I mean, there's two sides to that, because no one really wants to be on the receiving end of toxic positivity. So no one wants to hear, oh, it could be worse, when they're having a really bad day. But at the same time, you don't want, I don't want to wallow in the sad and bad things that have happened, because they didn't kill me, they did make me stronger.
Yeah.
And that's by choice rather than design.
Yeah. It's been lovely to have you.
Oh, thank you very much.
So this is actually probably the most we've spoken in the whole time we've actually lived next door to each other. But no, thank you for doing this.
That's okay.
And I'm sure for everyone out there who you've inspired and who has read your blog, they would thank you too if they were here. So thank you all for joining in, everybody. So this has been my chat with Suzanne Dore from Gladrags and Bags. So please check out her blog. Also check out her Instagram as well. And look forward to watching your adventures and all your flashy places and cool things you do. So,
see you soon.
All right, everyone. Thanks very much, everyone. Thank you for sharing your experience, says TL. Thank you, TL, and keep us posted on how you're doing, dude. And good luck with all your surgery and everything. So take care, everyone. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.